You're watching DX Recaps, the place where we break down movies fast, clear, and spoiler-packed. Whether you missed it, forgot it, or just want a quick refresh, we've got you covered. Let's get into the story.
Our story begins in a time long past, as the southern nation holds a grand ceremony to crown their new ruler. In a gesture of diplomacy, emissaries from the northern kingdom arrive bearing gifts. The new king welcomes their offerings, unaware that danger lurks beneath the surface. Moments later, the celebration turns deadly. The so-called gift-bearers reveal themselves as assassins. One of them is swiftly dispatched by the royal guards, but the second tries to escape, only to be intercepted by a monstrous beast. The creature grabs her, hurls her against the palace walls, and viciously tears her apart. Realizing this act signals an act of war from the northern kingdom, Commander Guan urges the king to respond immediately. He proposes holding a tournament to identify a worthy general who can lead their forces in a preemptive strike. The king reluctantly agrees, and Guan climbs the highest tower to release flocks of messenger eagles across the kingdom, summoning warriors from every corner. Meanwhile, in a drought-stricken village, guards are rationing out the town's limited water supply, but it's far from enough. Many leave empty-handed, unaware that someone is already scheming to steal from the fountain. A young man named Don lowers himself Mission Impossible style from a ceiling opening and steals water straight from the source. His plan doesn't last long. Guards spot him and give chase through the crowded streets, their pursuit accidentally causing scaffolding to collapse, with a child trapped inside. A local worker named Hong leaps into action and saves the girl just in time. Don thinks he's managed to escape in the confusion, only to be knocked unconscious by the captain of the guard. Soon after, a messenger eagle reaches the village, and the town chief reads the urgent letter aloud to the people. Each settlement must send 3 warriors to compete in Commander Guan's tournament, and the winners will be considered to lead the war effort. Don eagerly steps forward, determined to prove he's more than just a thief. Unexpectedly, both Hong and the captain who arrested him also volunteer. The chief offers them his blessings for the perilous journey ahead. Before setting out, Don visits his mother's grave, revealing he's been an orphan since childhood. The chief also gifts Hong a broken spear, an old relic from a battle a decade ago where Hong was the sole survivor. The chief hopes it might save him once more. The trio ventures into the harsh desert, but before they get far, danger strikes. A massive stinger bursts from the sand, dragging one of their teammates below the surface. It's a giant scorpion, and it's hunting them. The creature lunges, but Hong intercepts it with his spear, protecting Don and giving them a chance to regroup. The battle intensifies when a second monster bursts forth. Hong fends them off in a ferocious fight, managing to wound one and drive them both away. But their group is now down to just 2 members, which poses a serious problem. The tournament requires teams of 3. Night falls, and the 2 men rest beneath the stars. Around the campfire, Don pries into Hong's past and uncovers the truth. 10 years ago, Hong's brother had fought in a war against the North. During that battle, he killed the enemy general using his spear, breaking the weapon in the process. But their forces were left stranded when Commander Guan failed to deliver promised reinforcements. The southern army was massacred by a hail of arrows. In his final act, Hong's brother shielded him from death, sacrificing himself. Since that day, Hong has carried a burning desire for revenge. This tournament is his chance to face the man who betrayed them, Commander Guan. What no one in the south knows is that Guan is not the hero he pretends to be. In secret, he confides to a mysterious ally that he's actually a northern spy, orchestrating this entire tournament to eliminate the kingdom's best warriors. It's all part of a plot to weaken the southern nation before a full-scale invasion. Back in the desert, Don and Hong continue their journey and come across a young woman with a giant sword being chased by soldiers. She's accused of stealing a sacred talisman from her clan. Don wants to intervene, but Hong insists they stay out of it. They have a larger mission to focus on. But then, the sky darkens. A massive sandstorm barrels toward them with terrifying speed. The 2 men run for cover as the wind begins consuming everything. The woman and her pursuers also scatter for safety. Don notices a soldier struggling in the chaos and rushes to help, just as Hong grabs them both. But the storm's power lifts them off the ground and tosses them like rag dolls. When the storm finally dies down, the survivors crawl from the sand, shaken but alive. The group of soldiers from earlier also made it. Grateful for Don's help, They offer him a horse before heading off to the capital. Eventually, Don and Hong reach the southern capital, weaving through a bustling marketplace filled with northern slaves. They finally arrive at the tournament's staging area, where dozens of warriors are gathered. Suddenly, the woman from earlier, the one with the large sword, enters the hall. She too wants to compete, but the soldiers chasing her haven't given up and move in to arrest her. She retaliates, fighting them off skillfully until they're interrupted by an ominous presence. Everyone kneels as Commander Guan enters with his towering beast. He announces that the tournament will begin the next day, and issues a stern warning. Once inside, no one may leave. Anyone who attempts to escape will be executed. The urgency sinks in. Don and Hong still need a third teammate or they'll be disqualified and killed. That's when the sword-wielding woman steps forward and introduces herself as Jane. She volunteers to join their team, and with no better option, they accept. The following day, the arena fills with cheering spectators. The rules are brutal. The first 3 teams to cross the arena's massive stage advance to the next round. Killing opponents is allowed, and there's a twist. Each team is tied together, forcing them to fight and move as one. The death race begins. Swords are drawn, and chaos erupts. Warriors leap onto narrow bridges and platforms, trying to shove each other off the edge into the deep ravine below. Many fall to their deaths, while the most skilled fighters claw their way toward the middle. Don's team pushes forward, fighting furiously to stay on their feet. Then the ground beneath them begins to shift. The stage rotates, making balance almost impossible. To make matters worse, enormous metal spheres are unleashed and rolled toward them with crushing force as the colossal spheres come crashing down. The humans scramble in a desperate attempt to dodge the incoming threats. Chaos erupts as these enormous objects slam into the crowd, brutally crushing several unlucky victims in a horrific manner. Fortunately, the remaining competitors manage to anticipate the movement patterns of the deadly balls. They use their distinct skills to narrowly avoid being struck, barely surviving the deadly ordeal. Amid the chaos, the only all-female team skillfully navigates the battlefield, successfully reaching the far side and securing first place, while Don and his companions continue their frantic struggle to stay alive. Soon after, the other groups push forward and also manage to reach the perimeter, leaping out of the arena just in time to claim second place. Now, only 2 teams remain locked in a desperate race for the final qualifying spot. One unfortunate contestant becomes entangled in a chain, trapping his leg. In a grim decision, his team leader severs the injured limb, then hauls the wounded man toward the finish line. Thanks to this brutal sacrifice, the team completes the challenge, though it comes at the cost of one member's leg. Back in the arena, the losing teams are herded together. The commander's aide proceeds to brand the failed competitors as punishment, their agonized screams echoing through the stadium. Meanwhile, the victors are allowed to proceed to the next stage. The commander personally hands the certificate to the winning team, commending them for surviving such a grueling trial. Seeing this, Hong abruptly lunges at the commander, intent on avenging his family. Don rushes in to intervene, attempting to stop his friend from getting them all executed, but instead, he's met with a bone-crushing handshake. Sensing danger, Jing steps in to calm the others, but it's already too late. Commander Guan arrives, instantly noticing the shattered spear nearby. To everyone's shock, Guan doesn't recognize it as the weapon belonging to the family he once slaughtered. Instead, he casually congratulates Hong for winning. Realizing that any act of revenge now would endanger his comrades, Hong swallows his fury and accepts the prize, grudgingly letting the commander slip away once more. Once back at their quarters, Hong explodes in anger at his friends for interfering. He vows to assassinate the commander on his own, no matter the risk. But Don stands firm, insisting that revenge can't be taken recklessly. He urges Hong to win the tournament and earn the title of Great General. Only then can they reveal the truth to the king and seek true justice. The following morning, the next trial begins. This time, the contestants must retrieve an egg from a colossal beast, which is so agitated it's been causing constant tremors while struggling to remove a man-made helmet strapped to its head. The competitors venture into a vast underground cavern. Other teams enter through different tunnels, all hunting for the monster's nest. But before Don's team can locate the beast, Hong stumbles upon a poisonous flower. He's soon paralyzed and begins succumbing to the toxin. Despite the danger, Hong tells them that the antidote, a specific orange moss, grows near the poisonous plant. The group immediately splits up to search for the cure. Elsewhere, one team enters a dense field of tall grass but quickly realizes something's off. They're ensnared by massive tentacles and fall victim to an encounter that feels straight out of a disturbing adult anime. Another team stumbles upon the same area, joining the fray against the monstrous plants. During the chaos, they find a hidden entrance leading directly to the monster's egg. They manage to retrieve it, but as they do, the mother beast returns, enraged and desperate to reclaim her stolen child. The group flees in terror, sprinting back through the treacherous plant field. Tentacles lash out again, capturing the intruders, just as Dawn's team arrives at the scene, also determined to secure the prize. Suddenly, the massive serpent emerges in full fury, towering over all the humans before charging forward. One man loses his grip on the egg and tumbles down a cliff, while a female teammate grabs the egg and bolts. But the monster gives relentless chase, tracking the girl to her hiding spot behind the stone walls. Dawn rushes in to help, catching the egg and baiting the creature away. He leaps across rocky ledges, frustrating the monster with every narrowly avoided swipe. Eventually, Dawn's team lures the beast into a tight cave. They cling to the ceiling, forcing the creature into a narrow space until it gets stuck. That's when Dawn spots the orange moss, the antidote, growing on the helmet. His teammate grabs the plant and makes a daring escape. The serpent breaks free again and resumes the chase, but it's soon caught in another rocky trap, giving the team a chance to flee and administer the cure to Hong. He recovers almost instantly, pulled back from the edge of death. But Dawn isn't done. Instead of leaving, he returns to the creature, determined to free it from its restraints. He climbs atop its head and pulls at the helmet, but the metal won't budge. Jing joins him, grabbing a rope and helping tug with all her strength. Together, they succeed. The helmet snaps free, and the beast lets out a deafening roar. Then, shockingly, it turns back to face the humans who took its child. Dawn steps forward, carefully presenting the egg and apologizing for the intrusion. He pleads with the creature to allow them to borrow the egg temporarily for the trial, promising to return it unharmed. To their surprise, the beast agrees. In gratitude for their help, it lets them leave in peace. However, unknown to them, they are being watched from the shadows by a hidden observer. Eventually, the group returns to the capital. Meanwhile, the opposing team's surviving leader is punished just like the others who failed. Though there are no challengers left, the commander announces a shocking twist. The final stage will pit teammates against one another. Only one person can claim the title of Great General. This devastates the group. The idea of fighting each other is too much to bear. Just when despair sets in, a mysterious woman in blue robes appears. She reveals she was a friend of Dawn's late father and that it's time for the truth. She leads them into a mysterious forest and through a thick fog, which suddenly transports them into an otherworldly dimension. There, stones begin to float around them as their memories materialize before their eyes. It's revealed that Dawn is the last living descendant of the former Northern King, who was betrayed and overthrown. Dawn must reclaim his birthright and restore peace to the divided kingdom. Before anyone can fully absorb this revelation, they're returned to the forest. Hong, angry and overwhelmed, storms off and abandons the group, leaving Dawn speechless. Jing tries to stop him, pleading with him not to go. But Hong shoves her away, telling her their friendship was built on lies and means nothing now. Heartbroken, Jing runs off in tears, unable to accept that she is now on opposing sides with Dawn. But before she can make it back to the capital, she spots something terrifying: enemy soldiers closing in. Surrounded from every direction, Jing finds herself cornered just as Commander Guan arrives to arrest her for deserting the tournament. Without hesitation, he orders his soldiers to attack. Jing has no choice but to defend herself, fighting off the onslaught with every ounce of strength she has. Despite her best efforts, the overwhelming number of enemies soon overpowers her. Her weapon is knocked from her hands, and she's slammed to the ground. As she lays defenseless, the soldiers begin mercilessly beating her. Just then, Hong bursts onto the scene and rushes to her aid, forcefully driving back the attackers. But before he can pull Jing to safety, the commander stabs her in the leg, drawing a scream of agony from the wounded woman. Seeing his friend in mortal danger, Hong surrenders, throwing down his weapon in defeat. The soldiers seize him immediately. Unbeknownst to him, Commander Guan has no plans to spare Jing. In cold blood, he drives his sword into her chest, dealing a fatal blow. Hong lets out a tortured scream as he's dragged away, fully realizing, too late, that his desire for revenge has cost him everything. Not long after, Don arrives at the scene and discovers Jing barely clinging to life. He rushes to her side, trying desperately to save her. But it's too late. With her final breath, Jing begs him to protect Hong. She dies in Don's arms, leaving him devastated and in tears. Despite his heartbreak, Don refuses to give up. Determined to expose the corruption, he returns to the capital. There, he finds one of the former tournament fighters and urgently informs him of the commander's betrayal. He pleads with the man to spread the truth and rally the others before the northern spies can strike again. Meanwhile, Hong is dragged before the southern king to answer for abandoning the tournament. The commander demands his execution without delay. As the executioner prepares to strike, Don suddenly arrives and interrupts the proceedings. He throws himself before the king, begging for a final match against Hong, a duel to the death, so that he can rightfully claim the title of Great General and, in doing so, carry out justice himself. To everyone's surprise, the king agrees. The two men are thrown into the final arena, now rigged with flying blades slicing through the air. But instead of fighting each other, Don and Hong begin shielding one another, dodging the deadly traps as they navigate the battlefield together. Seeing this, Commander Guan gives the order for his agents to attack. Chaos erupts as enemy soldiers hidden in the crowd charge the guards. All seems lost, until the clan leaders who previously lost the tournament reappear, now united in defense of the city. Together, they begin turning the tide, swiftly eliminating the invading forces. Back at the palace, the king and Commander Guan attempt to retreat, only to find themselves trapped. The doors have been sealed from the outside. In that moment, the king realizes he's been betrayed by his most trusted advisor. The traitor locks them inside, planning to end the king's reign in fire. Outside, Hong and Don fight their way toward the palace to save the king, but are suddenly confronted by the commander's monstrous beast. The creature lunges with its massive jaws, roaring with fury. Hong charges forward, stabbing the beast in the foot and creating an opening. The others seize the moment to deliver a finishing blow, bringing the beast crashing down and ending its threat. Up above, Commander Guan makes a final escape attempt. He activates a hidden mechanism, releasing torrents of flammable liquid across the stadium. His goal? To burn everyone alive. Don spots him preparing to flee using a massive glider. With the flames igniting around him, Don races to the rooftop, leaps onto the glider, and starts tearing holes in its wings, forcing it to crash. Meanwhile, Hong reaches the palace gates and desperately tries to break them open as the king begins to succumb to the heat inside. At the last moment, the doors are forced open and the king is pulled to safety. Just before a massive explosion consumes the building. As the dust settles, Hong spots his friend emerging victorious. Don has sabotaged the glider and brought the traitor down. Fueled by fury, Hong charges the fallen commander, kicking him across the battlefield like a rag doll. He then seizes the villain and drives his weapon through Guan's neck, finally avenging Jing's death. In the aftermath, the king expresses his gratitude to the people for saving the city. He names Hong as the new general of the army, entrusting him with the future protection of the nation. To honor Jing's bravery, Hong commissions a monument in her name, ensuring that she will forever be remembered as a hero. Later, the people gather at her grave to pay their respects. Don promises at her tombstone that he will reclaim the northern throne and bring lasting peace. But before returning home, Don makes one final journey, back to the monster's lair. There, he returns the serpent's offspring, securing a powerful ally for whatever adventures lie ahead.
And that's a wrap on today's recap. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a plot twist. Got a movie you want recapped? Drop it in the comments below. This is DX Recaps. See you in the next one.